brothers as full partners in a plan to retaliate against the U.S. for its wars in Muslim countries. A Kentucky woman convicted of fatally poisoning her son has drawn a life sentence, but not the maximum.
Judge Robert Neary could have sentenced Lacey Spears to 25 years to life in the poisoning death of her son. He gave her 20 to life instead.
By not imposing a maximum sentence on combining punishment with something that you really did not exhibit towards your son, namely mercy.
Spears did not speak at the sentencing. She was convicted last month of poisoning 5-year-old Garnett with overdoses of salt when they lived in the New York City suburb of Chestnut Ridge. The judge said Spears suffers from a mental illness, which caused her to crave attention from being the mother of a sick child, and said he hopes she gets treatment. The defense denies she's mentally ill and will appeal. Warren Levinson, New York.
Defense Secretary Ash Carter says al-Qaeda's most feared branch is taking advantage of chaos in Yemen.
Yemen's central government has collapsed, and Carter says that makes it harder for the U.S. to carry out counter-terror operations against AQAP, al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula.
You see them making great gains on the ground.
Carter says the upheaval's forcing the U.S. to rethink how it keeps AQAP from striking Western targets, including the American homeland. Sagar Meghani at the Pentagon.
Abortion clinics that belong to a discredited New Jersey abortionist are under a new ownership. Charlie Butts reports there's no proof that has happened, though.
Stephen Brigham had his medical license revoked in New Jersey for running an illegal late-term abortion scheme and, according to law, had to divest ownership in 8 abortion clinics in the state. Information indicates the clinics have been turned over to his longtime friend, Vikram Kaji. Operation Rescue's Cheryl Sullinger tells AFN that's a problem.
He has a long history of sexually abusing his patients. In 2013, the authorities in New Jersey found all kinds of violations at clinics where Kaji was working, and they found that he had suffered a stroke, that he had memory impairment, and also an impairment in his vision.
Operation Rescue considers it unbelievable that Haji is allowed to practice medicine.
Brigham may be using Kaji as a kind of a placeholder, kind of a pawn in the scheme to not totally give away control of his clinics, so that in the event that his license revocation appeal is somehow successful, that he can regain control of those clinics.
Sullinger adds that Operation Rescue has found no public record of transferring ownership to Haji.
Forecasters say the conditions are ripe for a series of storms to gain strength and pound Middle America over the next 2 days. Hail and tornadoes are possible in some areas. Thunderstorms have already been rolling through Indiana and Missouri this morning. The highest chance of tornadoes today extends from the Kansas-Oklahoma border to the St. Louis area. Storm Prediction Center meteorologist Roger Edwards says storms like what we've been getting are not unusual, but they generally start earlier in the season.
The atmosphere is behaving like it should for this time of year, and that means folks need to be prepared in case watches or warnings are issued.
In final news this hour, it was a 75-pound bag of cash, and it's worth $5,000 to the man who returned it. Dan Kennedy has received a $5,000 reward check from Brinks. The Utah man found the bag on I-80 after it tumbled from an armored truck. He found stacks of cash inside the bag and reported it to the Utah Highway Patrol. Brinks won't say how much money was in the bag, but Kennedy says one smaller bag in the larger stack had about $22,000.
100 days, 100 subscribers at $7 will bring FirstAmendmentRadio.com to the minimum level necessary to sustain it through 2015. Go to support.FirstAmendmentRadio.com. $7 a month. Really, you can afford that for our Protestant First Amendment rights and the gospel of the kingdom message. Where your heart is, there will your treasure be also. Go to support.FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And we're back with the second hour of To Free America here on the American Freedom Network. And, well, nothing much has changed from the first hour. At the top of the hour, I told you, we need your help. Simple as that. You won't hear these shows on Clear Channel. We need to keep this station up and running and the light shining, and tell your friends and family. Call Michael, 800-205-6245. 800-205-6245. You can make a pledge on your plastic. You can order a copy of today's show, past shows we've done, other shows here on the network. That helps us out. You can pick up that envelope and address it to KHNC, P.O. Box 1750. P.O. Box 1750, Johnstown, Colorado, Federal Occupation Zone 80534. Your check, your money order, much appreciated. We'll even still take the fraudulent reserve notes. Other currencies, sure, throw them in if you got them. You could even throw in some just weights and measures, the Lord's money, at the very least. Tell your friends and family, tune in 1360 AM on the internet at America Newsnet, AmericaNewsNet.com, and call the advertisers, folks. Only takes a second. Jot their number down, give them a call, and just say thanks. Doug Lambert, Square Root Construction. He can help you out, build that palatial mansion up on the top of the mountain so you can look down upon the masses, to that 8x16 storage shed in the backyard for when the in-laws show up. Square Root Construction, give Doug a call, 303-517-8742, 303-517-8742. My guest today, Bill Holter, 23 years as a stockbroker, retired and went to Costa Rica, came back home, and now he writes for MilesFranklin.com. And his articles can also be found at goldseek.com. Check out Paul's website, Revolution Radio. Paul puts up a lot of them. And just a little tidbit on Costa Rica. Got a friend that bought some acreage down there and was working on a place. Got it, in between trips back and forth. And circumstances changed a little bit, and he wasn't being able to get down there for several months, Bill, and he went back down there, and, well, guess what? They had stolen everything. I mean, the cabinets and the plumbing fixtures and all the wiring and anything that they could pick up and carry off, they took it all.
Well, he's lucky he didn't have squatters in there, because the law reads, I think it's 60 days. I'm not sure. It might be 6 months. But if a place is unoccupied and somebody moves in, it's their place.
Really?
Really.
Oh. And then the other thing, for any of you folks thinking of escaping and leaving Babylon, wherever you go, before you go, you make sure you are at least semi-fluent in the language of where you're going.
And also make sure you have some capital outside of the states, because when this thing goes down, there will be capital controls. There were capital controls being implemented back in 2009, 10, and 11, where, for instance, when we lived in Costa Rica, there were 2 or 3 instances where we had to actually prove to the institution, my bank down there, where the money came from.
Okay.
Well, it's a good idea to have capital outside of the U.S. that you can transfer to yourself.
Yes.
Because once capital controls hit, you may be living outside of the U.S. and living in paradise, but without any money.
With no money. We've got a caller. Who we got?
Hey, it's me, Randy.
Hello, Jim.
With respect to this gentleman that had this apartment or condo, and he was off-site from Costa Rica, I know sometimes we get kind of myopic about what's going on in other countries, but I would suggest you take a tour of Detroit and look what they did to tens of thousands of houses there. They stripped everything out, plumbing, wiring, fixtures, everything.
Yes.
So that's happened here in the United States.
But people don't go to Detroit to retire in luxury.
What's that?
People don't go to Detroit to retire to a good climate and luxury. I agree with you. Yes, it's happened in the U.S., but as I mentioned to Randy, in Costa Rica and in other Latin American countries, not all, but in some, the law reads if you're gone and it's an unattended property and somebody moves in and squats your property, good luck getting it back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be something to look at if you're planning on moving.
No, that's a fact. I mean, I saw it happen.
How do you recommend having your assets offshore? Why don't you talk about that, and I'll go ahead and hang up.
Thanks for calling, Jim.
Well, as I mentioned before, I think it's a good idea to have your stock certificates, whatever stocks you have.
Well, I was going to bring that up. The certificates. Now, your broker's going to scream and yell and jump up and down and turn red in the face when you ask him to...
And charge you $500 per certificate.
Really?
Before we left in 2006, I ordered everything out, and it cost me $10 per certificate. It now costs $500 per certificate, no matter what the value is. So they're trying to lock people into the system by discouraging you from taking your certificate.
Wow. Didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Okay.
And, of course, your broker's going to say, well, we're not charging it. Well, they are. I mean, it doesn't cost any more today to print a certificate than it did back in 2006. Maybe the paper costs a little more. I don't know.
Or in the 1980s or 1970s.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
But they want everything on the books, in the system, and the word would be corralled.
Okay.
Now, as far as I'm a firm believer that you need to have wealth in gold and silver. I believe that you should have some silver on hand because I do think it's going to spend, but I think a goodly portion should be held of your gold because obviously that's where you put your bigger wealth. Needs to be offshore.
And we'll talk about that after we get back from break. Stay tuned. Question, comment, phone lines are open 877-254-7524.
Howdy, folks. Have you ever thought about having your own backyard chicken? Now you have a source for...
I pledge allegiance to the King of Kings and to his kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. One holy nation under Heavenly Father, grace, mercy, justice for all.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Despite Nicolas Cage's promise to do his best to get left behind rapture answers for us, don't hold your breath. Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. If you want true Bible prophecy answers, get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. The author exposes the Latin rapture origin, the 7-year tribulation deception, true Bible revelation of Daniel's 70 weeks, the abomination of desolation, the restrainer, America in the revelation, the image of the beast and the mark of the beast, and the truth about God's chosen people, and so much more about Bible prophecy. This book will shatter the Left Behind paradigm of future events. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org. You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
Franklin.com, MilesFranklin.com, or GoldSeek.com. Also check Paul's website, Revolution Radio, hr.2.org. He puts Bill's articles up. So we left. Well, we got a caller. Who we got?
Hi. This is Ann, and I wanted to ask. Hi. This man, if he's heard of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, because the power of the Chinese currency is definitely connected to, and I hope he researches this, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which is China, its bordering stand countries that are mostly Muslim, Russia, who started this in 1996 and then renamed in 2001, and it also includes now the guest member nations, which are Venezuela, lots of South American communist countries, Cuba.
Ann, let's ask Bill, have you heard of the Shanghai Cooperation Authority?
Organization? Yeah, the SCO, of course.
Okay.
Well, can you talk about that? But I have several other things that I want to just mention to you.
Well, it's if you want to call it an economic alliance.
It's also a military alliance. To go to their founding documents, you find that they want to destroy America and Israel.
And one at a time. We got it one at a time. Talk here. So go ahead, Bill.
My picture or grand picture is China has been importing gold for very heavily for at least 5 years, at least. They have a minimum 10,000 tons of gold. The U.S. is supposed to have, I think it's 8,400 tons of gold. Our gold is more than likely gone, and China's gold is probably closer to 20,000 tons rather than 10,000 tons. I think what you're going to see happen, and they've put these things in place now, they've got the BRICS Bank, the AIIB, the Shanghai Gold Exchange is going to go live, they've got the alternative clearing system. As the U.S. collapses or they collapse the U.S., I do believe that China is going to step up and say, we have 10,000 tons of gold, or we have 20,000 tons of gold, or whatever the case may be, and we bid, pick a number, $5,000. Now, remember, I'm saying dollars. I'm not saying yuan. Or actually, they'll say yuan, but the currency peg will have been broken with the dollar. So the dollar is going to be dropping versus the yuan, and it will be the equivalent of $5,000, $10,000, $50,000. It could be, who knows? It could be a crazy number, $1 million an ounce. Now, what will that do? That will price anyone who does not already own gold out of the market, and no one will be able to catch up. It will also revalue their hoard of gold, and it will replace, cushion, whatever word you want to use, whatever losses they take on their dollar holdings. Now, China, for the last at least 4 years, has been going around the world buying diamond mines, zinc mines, all kinds of natural resources, and they've been doing these deals in dollars. In other words, they're pledging their treasury securities to purchase real assets, and this is the way that they're getting out from under their $3 trillion that they've accumulated.
Well, they've bought gold mines, silver mines, copper mines in Canada,
everything,
Chile,
everywhere. Exactly, Africa, South America, Canada, everywhere.
And they're buying farmland here.
Absolutely.
Yes. I wanted to ask you, too, that there was a financial person who spoke at a major international conference, and he said, because he's an expert on China, that China will, of course, never do anything that does not financially benefit them. So if you think that they're going to, be able to, negotiate, we're going to negotiate with them on anything, unless China comes out on top, they're not interested.
What exactly are we going to have to negotiate with? The U.S. is being stripped. We're not going to be in any bargaining position. The only bargaining position we'll have is we promise not to push the red button.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Okay. Now, I had talked to two different people. One was a group of 3 students who were from Qatar, and they said after they had turned off the heat during Christmas vacation when they went to Qatar, that broke the pipes in the apartment, and below was my friend who lived, and that destroyed his computers because he went away for the week of Christmas, and they broke during that week when he came back to find this disaster. And what they said to him is, we're going to control your country within 10 years. This was about 3 years ago. There's nothing you can do about it. We're going to use your laws to do it. That's number one. And the number two, a realtor in Denver who is from Mexico said to me when I asked him about the illegal immigration, he said, we're just doing to you what you did to the Indians. So I just mentioned these two things because America thinks that everybody thinks like we do. It's all fair. You know, we're going to do things fair or something like that. But both of these groups are here to invade and take over, and then we've got politicians who do nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I would just say we have not, for many, many years, made friends and influenced people.
We give everything to the illegals, and we give everything to the, our American State Department allows these people who are actually terrorists, the PLO, in with, a 5-year visa. There's this famous guy that's on 670 AM radio on the
South America. Think what the U.S.
got his
did
biography,
back in the
and he's got a book out now about how he was a PLO guy, and he's here. No, we treat him nice. We're not doing nice by him.
No, but think about what we did, what our past policies were. For instance, down in South America, we would go down and we would offer funding in dollars to build the electrical grid or to build the sewer system or what have you, knowing full well that they couldn't pay. So what we did was we plundered their natural resources.
Yes.
Well, I think there's other viewpoints on that. I don't agree with that at all.
Well, that's fact. No, that's not an opinion. That's fact. We did do that.
No, we didn't plunder their resources. We ripped. We haven't been able to let them fish their own fish. Meaning, you teach a man how to fish. You teach them how to be independent. We went in there and did a lot of good things. But anyway,
I'm not arguing with you about the welfare within the U.S. I agree with that. But what I'm saying is we've done bad business. Think about the business that we do. Let's use China or any other foreign nation. They send us TVs. They send us cars. They send us real stuff. And what do we send them? We send them fake dollars. We send them pieces of paper, digital currency that in the end has no value whatsoever. That's not fair business.
Well, actually, they've stolen our technology big time.
I don't disagree with that.
Our national defense was given by Clinton to the Chinese in the 90s.
Right, but okay, and this was back in the 80s. Okay, an antenna company making CB antennas and all kinds of things, shortwave antennas. Went to the Kansas State Economic Development. We need to buy some equipment here and all that. And so finally, didn't want to jump through all the hoops. A couple of years later, they came to us and said, "Look, we'll help you move your business to China. We will help you." The Kansas State Economic Development said, "We will help you move your business to China. You're headquartered here. You bring all your stuff in here to Kansas and distribute it all out." So that's where we're headed. That's what has happened. And this was back in the 80s. This has been going on for years.
And Ross Perot predicted all of this in 1992.
Yes. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for listening. We got another caller. Who we got?
I don't want to mention my name.
Why?
I used to work for the federal government.
Okay.
And what you guys are saying was planned back in 1978, 79,
yes,
when I worked for the government. There will be a collapse of the economy. Their plans are 35 to 45 years ahead. People that you're electing, you think you are, but you're not. There is a plan to collapse the economy of the United States, and once it collapses, it'll be a collapse all over the world. Anybody who's in debt will become a slave. There's so much stuff that's going on. When it gets close to the end, their whole purpose is that things will be going so fast. If I can remember a quote, what I read, they won't be able to put out. It'll be like a tsunami wave of problems, and they will not be able to stop them. This has been, like I said, planned during the Jimmy Carter administration. I was shocked to read all of this stuff. Yes, our government is, not only our government, but at the time we were under the auspices of the, we call it the Round Table 7. You probably remember them back in the late 70s and the 70s. And they were running, they are 7 kings who are running everything. All over the world, they own everything. The United States is not 17 trillion. They, as of, I think it was 2006, were $87 trillion in debt.
That includes the unfunded liabilities.
Yes, and it's more than that now.
It's over 200.
We're over 2 points. Well, right now as of 2 years ago, we're over 2.7 quadrillion dollars
in derivatives.
Derivative debt. It is more than that now because I haven't been keeping up with it. But this plan is to collapse the economy and then bring into one world government, one economic world system. And the other thing is they're forcing. Yeah.
Can I ask which branch of the government you worked in?
Yeah, I worked for the Office of Personnel Management.
Okay.
And I had a high security, and there has been 15 attempts on my life. Fortunately, God has not let them kill me yet. But
what's your question
about it is
caller, yes.
Black Ops.
Did you have a question for Bill?
I was kind of confirming a lot of things about the economic system,
right,
and the religious system. I asked at the time who was my supervisor, Stockman. I said,
"There's no question that what is happening now, the decisions that have been made."
Do you realize that you're following the scriptures exactly?
There's no way that the decisions could have been made by mistake.
Listen to what I'm going to say. And he said, "How do you think we are following? Where do you think we're getting these ideas from? We believe in the scriptures more than the believers say they do." And I was shocked. He says, "We've been doing this for thousands of years. We just are patient, and we're waiting for the time to come that we can do what we want to do what it says we're going to do." I'm not kidding. This is, I was working for the Trilateral Commission, the CFR, you name it, the Round Table 7.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. We'll be right back after the break. Stay tuned.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States in 1963.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no secret is revealed. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President today.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America?
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America?
I've got a vision for what I want to do for the country. See, I know exactly where I want to lead. It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for...
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188.
You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
And we're back. Bill Holter, my guest. You can find his articles at milesfranklin.com, also at goldseek.com, and also at revolutionradio.com or .org. Full definition of insanity: a deranged state of mind usually occurring as a specific disorder, such as schizophrenia. Such unsoundness of mind or lack of understanding as prevents one from having the mental capacity required by law to enter into a particular relationship, status, or transaction, or as removes one from criminal or civil responsibility. 3, extreme folliness or unreasonableness, something utterly foolish or unreasonable. In your article, The Full Definition of Insanity, you tie that into our monetary system, the world banking system. We have, well, a handful, compared to the rest of us, of sociopaths, psychopaths, running the asylum bill.
And doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome.
Yes. And the American people, for the last 150 years, been we're going to the polls and we're going to vote, and we're going to kick out the D's and put in the R's, and kick out the R's and put in the D's, and nothing ever changes.
That's right.
Oh, so here we are, the last half hour of the show.
Randy, I want to answer the question to a previous caller. We got cut off. I do believe that you should store gold the bulk of your gold outside of the country. And the reason being, if there is a confiscation, it's outside of the country. It's difficult to confiscate. Miles Franklin does offer storage services in Zurich, Switzerland, Montreal, Canada, via Brinks, also Singapore and Hong Kong. They are segregated non-bank vaults.
Okay.
So that's something that we do offer, and we are a full-service precious metals firm.
Okay. Problem is, it's over there, and you may not be able to get out of here.
Right, which is why you keep some silver. Silver's going to spend, but you don't want to keep your real wealth in your home.
Right. Now, silver, are we talking 1 ounce rounds, or are we talking junk silver, dimes, quarters, and half dollars?
I'm a fan of dimes, quarters, and half dollars. I think junk is, if you have nothing at all, that's the first thing you've got to go to.
Okay.
100-ounce bars are not going to do it for you.
No.
But dimes, I mean, I like dimes better than anything else because it's broken down. I mean, if you have a 1-ounce gold piece, how are you going to get change?
Exactly.
You can't. But you can give a farmer a dime and maybe get a couple dozen eggs, or gasoline, or what have you. So the precious metals that you want to keep on hand are what you think you're going to need to spend. Silver's going to spend. Gold is for your real wealth. It's to carry your wealth from this system to the next system, because there is going to be a new system.
Yes.
What it will be or what it will look like, I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I could speculate on it, but that's kind of pointless.
We've got another caller. Who we got?
This is the same person. I'll tell you my name. My name is Samuel. I've been under surveillance since 1980, January the 1st.
Samuel.
Yes.
Samuel, do you have a question for Bill?
Well, it's not a question. I'm just confirming everything that you've been talking about since you've been on this program.
Okay.
And there's things that are going to happen that you guys need to be aware of. And you can see they're happening. They're planned. They used to know the dates and times and events and places. I don't remember them now.
Okay, but
that
Daniel,
I would like to hear.
I really thank you for calling, and we thank you for confirming what we're talking about. I appreciate you calling and listening.
Thank you, Samuel.
Okay, solutions. We've put forward NORM, National Organization for Raw Materials. We have a federal bill that's ready to go. We're writing a bill on the state level. The Bank of North Dakota is there. There's other states looking at, quote, a bank of. That the states stand up and interpose themselves to this madness that we have now in our economic system and say, now look, we're going to monetize the raw material production of the state, the agriculture, the mining, the timber, fishing if you're on the coast, recycling. And so we're going to, it's just simple arithmetic formulas, no major deal. We're going to monetize that, and we're going to monetize the infrastructure. If we need a new road, we just issue the dollars, United States money. Would that ever happen, or is there enough people out there within the legislatures? We have a few here in Colorado that are listening. Don't know if we'll get any action, but is there enough cool heads out there, Bill, that would look at something like that?
I think there's a lot of cool heads out there, but I think there would be too much pushback from the federal level. I mean, it's been for, 50 years since the days of, I guess you could say the days of LBJ, that it's been a power grab in Washington to take power from the states and centralize the power in Washington. So I think there would be all kinds of pushback to anything like that.
Well, even to the point of there in Texas when they said TSA starts touching our people again, we're going to arrest them all. And then they said, okay, we're just going to shut all the air routes down into Texas.
Right. Right, exactly.
But it's something like that we need to see talked about within the state capitals. Because
in my opinion, the best chance for anything like that to occur is as the dollar is going away during a financial meltdown. Because truly the dollar is the central core or cornerstone or whatever you want to call it of the power, the ability to issue the world's reserve currency. Now, if that ability or privilege is taken away goes power with it.
Yes. We're on our next break. Stay tuned here on the American Freedom Network. Questions, comments, phone lines are open.
You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Have you seen the Left Behind movies? Have you read the Left Behind fictional book series? Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. Because they see the world stage shaping to fulfill what they have been led to believe is sound biblical interpretation, a Left Behind rapture scenario, this false view of prophecy is reinforced in the mind, not only of its adherents, but also includes those who have been merely exposed to the specific media. Is it possible that false prophecy can be fulfilled? The rapture theories have always been in dispute. Pre-trib, mid-trib, and post-trib disputes have risen up in exclusively evangelical circles of recent history, so that when true believers don't suddenly disappear, this element will easily go by the wayside when all see a new Jewish temple begin to be built. Will this be part of the great delusion that will come upon the whole earth? It seems that this great prophetic delusion has already overcome practically the entire American evangelical and Christian world. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. To learn more, visit crosstheborder.org. That's CROSS, crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And we're back. 877-254-7524. Question, comment. My guest today, Bill Holter. You can find his articles at milesfranklin.com, also at goldseek.com, and keep revolutionradio.org right there. Paul puts his articles up almost every day. So when this comes crashing down and the dollar becomes worthless and the state looks around and goes, oh, my God, I think, Bill, that's our only, governmental-wise, is our only salvation is to come from it from the states. I mean, I know Texas is looking at a gold depository with the University of Texas gold, which I don't know if they've gotten it all back yet or not.
Yeah, I think they had. I think that was delivered in 2013 was the final delivery.
Okay.
So I do believe that the gold has been delivered.
Okay. So they got their gold. Now, will the rest of them, the Netherlands and Germany and the rest of them out there that said...
Well, you have to ask yourself, why are all these countries all of a sudden repatriating their gold? I mean, you've got Germany, Netherlands, Austria. They want their gold back, but ask yourself why. Yeah. And I think it's a matter of trust. I think they can do math just as well as anyone else can do math, and they see how much gold has been going to China, and they know that the amount of gold movement is far and away above what's actually produced. So the gold's got to be coming from somewhere, and these countries are worrying, hey, is that our gold?
Exactly. Or is
it's common sense. It's not. This is not rocket science.
Or is our gold sitting there gold-plated tungsten bars?
Right. Well, you can go back. I can remember back. I think it was 1989 when we saw a bunch of gold hit the world markets that had the Tsar's stamp on it. And I made the comment at the time that the Soviet Union was bankrupt and this was it. They were going to collapse. And within 6 months, that actually did happen. What they were doing was they were selling gold that had the Tsar's stamp on it. That was pre-1917 gold. A few years back, we also saw a whole bunch of gold. See, gold has a fingerprint. It has a unique fingerprint. If you look at the gold that was confiscated during the 1930s, the coin melt, that was, I forget what the number was, maybe 92 or 93% pure. And a few years back, a whole bunch of that gold hit the world markets. Now that's a telltale sign. We were selling gold from Fort Knox.
Okay, so would that be the coins were melted?
Right, that's the coin melt from the 1930s when FDR confiscated gold. I think it was 1933.
Right.
So gold with that particular fingerprint was hitting the market.
Okay.
The point being, I mean, that's anecdotal evidence that, yes, we have been selling the family jewels.
So, individuals out there, number one, if you can't feed yourself or know how to grow it or live like Davy Crockett, then you better get prepared, right?
Stock up on some food.
Yes.
Do the best you can.
Before we run out of time, Jade Helm, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's happening right there in your backyard. The county that you're in there, the Army public relations people were in there selling Jade Helm to be able to operate in your county. It's all
the conservative counties, from what I can tell.
It's what?
All the conservative counties.
Okay.
That's what it looked like to me.
Okay. So they've been running around. What is your take on this? Is this an exercise, or is this a could it go hot? And we say people like you and me are, you need a mental attitude adjustment.
What worries me is that in the past, it seems like what was supposed to be an exercise did go hot. So, yeah, I'm concerned about it.
Okay. Had a report that they may be also up there in northern Colorado, right there at the back door of the station. So keep your eyes out, folks. Keep your eyes out. That this thing is, this thing is not good. We got DHS buying billions of rounds of ammunition, Social Security, IRS, Fish and Game, on and on and on, buying hundreds of thousands of rounds of ammunition. They're preparing, as I've said over and over again, folks, for 82 years now, you've been the enemy of the state. and now it's just coming out in the open. Let's see, where'd my note go? Oh, the markets, okay? This is a total fiasco, total lie, isn't it? Of the stock market.
Well, markets, and including the stock market, are forced, pushed, well past massaged via the use of derivatives. They can put up $1, and that $1 can even be freely printed, and control $100 worth of an asset. So they can price things. And this is not conspiracy theory. I mean, there is such a thing as a plunge protection team. That was actually created by, I think it was executive order by Reagan after the 87 crash.
Yes.
Was that if the market started to crash, well, the plunge protection team would come in and save the day. Well, that morphed into absolute daily pushing and pulling of markets.
Yes. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Finish off today's show here on the American Freedom Network.
Howdy, folks. Have you ever thought about having your own backyard chicken?
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188. If you'd like to get a copy of this program, you may subscribe at FirstAmendmentRadio.com for only $45 a month, and you'll receive an MP3 CD weekly of all of our programs. As a bonus, we'll send you a password for our audio archives online. That's a $15 value. Or you may request any month of any program on one MP3 CD for a minimum donation of only $25, or any single program on tape, MP3 CD, or CD for only $15. You may do all of this online at FirstAmendmentRadio.com. Just follow the instructions to make a donation or subscribe. You may also adopt an hour of your favorite program. Please don't forget that most of the programs on FirstAmendmentRadio.com are listener-supported. Don't do Internet? Then call 559-781-3773 and we'll be honored to help you. Thank you from all of us here at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
You can find these articles at milesfranklin.com, also goldseek.com, and revolutionradio.org. The stock markets there in New York City and around, I mean, we've got some, the late 20s, 30, 40 guys in there that have never really seen a crash, never really understood a crash. You went through the 87 crash.
Yes, I did.
And you were young and wet behind the ears. How did you handle it?
I could tell you it was a pretty scary, it was a scary thing. And afterwards, we did find out that we were within probably 1 hour from the entire system melting down. It was not so much that Monday morning, it was Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning, they couldn't get the markets open. And what happened was the market was forecast down hundreds of points. It was actually down 140 points, but I think there was only 7 or 8 Dow stocks that opened, and that caused a 140-point drop. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the value line futures just started going up. And it turns out, I think the number was $6 million with an M, with a teeny tiny M.
Yeah.
There was $6 million worth of buying orders that went into the value line, which was the thinnest traded future at the time. And it rocketed the market up some 200-300 points. And that's what turned the market around. And as it turned out, it was a consortium of banks, and it was blessed by the Fed. So that was the beginning of manipulated markets.
And so now we see it every day.
Well, yeah, every day. I mean, the plunge protection team, which is a fact. It's not fiction. It's not opinion. It's a fact. There is a plunge protection team, and I absolutely believe that they've morphed into manipulating all markets all the time because they have to paint a picture. And that picture has to be all is well.
Yes.
And, of course, all the economic statistics are bogus. I mean, they tell you that we have less than 2% or just barely over 1% inflation, and that we need more inflation. I mean, that's a joke. Unemployment's at 5.5%. That's a joke. The listeners should take a look at John Williams' Shadow Statistics website, and he calculates things the way they were calculated back in the 70s and 80s. And he comes up with a number. He comes up with two numbers for unemployment. That unemployment is 17%, the way it was done back in the mid-late 80s, and the way it was done back in the 70s, we're running at 23% unemployment right now. And inflation is running somewhere in the 7 to 8% range.
Right.
And inflation is not the CPI index. Inflation, if you look at the definition of inflation and deflation, it's the increase or decrease of money supply. And our money supply has been growing at 7% plus. There's your inflation rate.
But none of that money is reaching the pockets of the people on Main Street.
No, it does not get to Main Street. Most of that money is in the banks, in free reserves.
And we're out of time. Bill, thanks so much for being with us today.
My pleasure, Randy.
God bless and hang in there. And remember, folks, the question is not, do you know the Lord Jesus Christ? The question is, does he know you?
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit DiscountGoldandSilverTrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188.
I pledge allegiance to the King of Kings and to his kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. One holy nation, under our Heavenly Father, grace, mercy, justice for all.
American Family News, I'm Chris Woodward. A jury has convicted Johar Tsarnaev in the Boston Marathon bombing, Sagar Magani reports.
Tsarnaev sat fidgeting with his arms folded as the verdict was read in a Boston courtroom. Guilty on all 30 counts, including 17 making him eligible for the death penalty. The jury will now decide whether Tsarnaev should be executed or spend life in prison. The outcome, former federal prosecutor Tom Durkin, who has also represented terror suspects, says the defense has been focusing on since admitting Tsarnaev took part in the bombing.
They only need one